Hey there, everybody. I hope you are well. I'm Afefe with Touch by Tarot and Beyond. Was absent for the past week. Took a nice little vacation with some friends to Mexico. Had the time of my life. Absolutely wonderful time. Some of you saw I posted a video earlier last week when I got there about just some interesting perspectives. I met people internationally, UK, South Africa, Canada, Australia. I just had some marvelous conversations with people, all of whom were very, very aware of American politics. You know, what's at stake for America, what's at stake for American democracy. Really interesting to understand and to see ourselves, to see our situation through the eyes of, many people in the international community. A lot of people really pulling for the United States and very concerned about what the future could hold for us if things don't go our way. But we, so far so good. The spirit guides are telling us we are going to pull this out. Biden will be reelected. We're going to stand on that and keep putting that, collectively putting our energy toward that. But for today, I wanted to check in with you all about, let's see, we know today is, I'm taping this Tuesday morning, the 28th. And what does that mean? It's the hush money trial, Trump's hush money trial, closing arguments. Well, last time I checked into it, I want to do an update with Spirit. Last time I checked into it, it was kind of looking like a hung jury. Now, I know, energies can shift. And I know one of the things that happens when you get a hung jury is you come together and try to persuade and so that you can render a verdict. So I want to check in on that and get some juice, wet my whistle. I want to check in on that. After that, we want to take a look at what's up with Nikki Haley. We didn't, am I the only one who didn't see that coming, that endorsement? It was no surprise to anybody when Ron DeSantis came out with his endorsement. We knew as much, vitriol and hatred between DeSantis and Trump. It was just a matter of time before DeSantis did that. He's gonna, he's a political opportunist to the max. And so that didn't surprise anybody. But Nikki, something's up with that. And the guides were saying for a while in my readings that no matter what, Trump really had his heart set on, and his camp had their heart set on a female running mate. And he ran out of some options. Kristi Noem blew it. Carrie Lake, not happening. So it was a matter of who. I really want to go to Spirit and see, have there been some behind the scenes conversations about this actually positioning, if Nikki Haley were to be offered the VP spot and take it, what that means is, in terms of the election, of course, but also would that be something strategic that she'd do with her eye on 2028? Because we know she was coming back no matter what. But by running on this ticket, is that something that would further her chances? Let's see. That's going to be a real interesting lesson. I want to go to Spirit on that. And finally, I want to go to Spirit, you all, on something that's very near and dear to me as an African American. This notion that Trump is really making inroads with black voters, particularly young black voters, and that he's using these stereotypes, these racial stereotypes and tropes to make those inroads. Many of you probably saw the stories about when he had that rally in the Bronx last week, that he featured among the speakers two gang-related, these two rappers, millions of followers. These are not just somebody, nobody ever heard of. Of course, he was strategic with that. Both of these rappers, I wrote their names down. I wasn't familiar with them. Chef G and Sleepy Hollow are their rap names. I don't know their real names. But apparently these rappers have millions of followers, both on music streaming platforms, YouTube, social media, you name it. And so, of course, by extension, Trump and his camp are thinking we get to this group and we get to their followers, their fans. I want to see the extent to which, go to Spirit and see the extent to which that's really making some inroads, because we know And, by and large, African Americans tend to vote Democratic. And there are some tensions around that. There are even tensions around that outside of the whole hip hop community, or what Trump is going for and saying, I'm one of you. I know how it feels to have criminal charges. I can relate to you, using his mugshot as street cred to get in with that. So that's one thing. But even among more, middle class, well educated blacks, that is where he's hitting the wall. Biden is hitting a wall around the Palestine issue, right? And rights for Palestinians and the war in Gaza. So there's a lot of interesting racial dynamics that are happening here, and that will tap into people's sensibilities about what they want, what they vote for and what they stand for when they go to the polls. Interesting. I want to take a look at that, you all. I'm disturbed by it. I'm deeply disturbed. We know that Trump, in his heart of hearts, is a salesman. He's a con artist. And so he's gone to the oil tycoons and said, you can write your own regulations and legislation and I'll back you up. Just give me $1 billion. I mean, he's doing that. He's tailoring his his speeches for whatever the crowd is, and basically saying, I'll give you what you want. For the rap crowd, it's all about, or those who are facing criminal charges, I don't want to oversimplify. But he's saying, I'll have executive privilege. I can issue some pardons. From what I understand, he did so while he was president last term, and he's using that to say, as another selling point. Like, look, I've done this. I've looked out for you all before. I'll do it again because now I'm one of you. I know how it feels to be, to be dragged through the mud, to have to stand for a mugshot, blah, blah, blah. But I do want to see if in fact that is part of, if that's going to, to make a dent and sway more voters in his direction. We'll see. Young people are really fed up on so many levels. They're fed up socially around the Palestinian issue, but inflation is crazy, housing costs, etc. There's a lot going on, you all. So let's see. For today, I want to take in first and foremost, let's go in on that Trump verdict in the hush money trial, and let's see what's happening. We have the high priestess. That's going to be the interesting. They put Barack Obama on this deck. This deck is sold out, by the way. It's an Amvior deck I got off Etsy, and several of you wondered about it the last time I used it. Unfortunately, as is often the case with independent sellers, they only do limited editions, so I'm sorry about that. But anyway, the high priestess. So that's the deliberations. There's a lot going on that will go on behind the scenes among the jurors. A lot of questions are going to be raised around clarifying, even after they get the jury instructions. I'm sensing that there's going to be a lot of requests for more clarification. So don't be surprised. The political pundits will read into that, when juries go back to the judge, clarify on this, clarify on that, help us understand this. And they use that to say, aha, this is what's either holding them back, or this is an indication of how they're going to rule. So we've got the high priestess. We've got the Two of Cups. Interesting. This, you might enjoy that. That's Joe and Joe Biden. Two of Cups. I think they're going to reach a decision. Yeah, that's why it was looking like a hung jury, and I do think there may be a holdout, one or two holdouts who are going to, but there's some sort of impetus then that moves these two factions or two camps or two people who are at issue in that jury, among the jury members. They're going to get moved along. And we've got the Seven of Swords. That's interesting to add that to the mix, because typically the Seven of Swords is a card that indicates some sort of trickery, some sort of falsehood, some sort of scheming kind of moves behind the scenes. Spirit, why is the Seven of Swords here in regards to the jury's decision? The Ten of Swords. People are concerned for their safety, you all. That's what's happening here. Am I getting that right, Spirit? Is this a question of people starting to get really anxious when it's time to make the decision? The Hangman, damn it. It's going to get tough. It's going to get icky in there, you all. And I think it's because there is some fear. There is some fear about the safety and what can happen to people's lives. Right now, we know that Marshawn and the court has done everything possible to keep their identities secret. But I think there are some concerns about what could possibly happen after all of this is said and done, and if people continue to dig into it, what could be done. There is, and then that hangman just came. You all, this is not going to be ultimately, Spirit, when all of this is done, because you're showing showing us a lot of what's happening behind the scenes. Ultimately, will will a verdict be entered, and will it be guilty? Will he be found guilty? We have the star. Thank you. Thank you, Spirit. I think so. I think it's leaning in that direction. There's just a lot of there's a lot of anxiety behind and credit is due to this jury. From what we've read, from what we've heard, they truly have been attentive. The same people have shown up. This jury pool has remained intact. They've shown up. They are definitely doing what we, the American populace, expect from this situation. And the Ten of Cups. Okay, here we go. I think we're looking at a conviction. But there will be a hung juror or hung jurors. And there's going to be a process by which they're going to have to work that out behind the scenes between that Ten of Swords and that Seven of Swords. There's a process that's going to have to be worked out, because that hung juror or jurors don't believe. I think Cohen did a lot of damage. We've heard a lot about that. We knew that was going to be tricky, from start to finish with him. But there's someone who has to be convinced. But I do believe between that star and the Ten of Cups that came up, I do believe that we're looking at a conviction. It's just going to be drawn out. We're going to be on pins and needles with this one, you all right? So let's see what ultimately happens. But I'm thinking that hung juror or jurors, I keep seeing two. There's ultimately they're going to get persuaded, and that Ten of Cups it feels like a more like a collective sigh, or like, whew, we got there. All right, so Nikki Haley, let's move on to Nikki. Is Nikki Haley going to be Donald Trump's pick for vice president? Is he going to throw a Hail Mary out there and actually extend the offer to Nikki Haley? And if so, will she accept it? Four of Cups, still under consideration. Six of Swords, because it's all about strategy. With the Six of Swords, it's all about how do we move forward? What is the path forward, the best path forward? Four of Cups is more hemming and hawing, seesawing. Maybe this, maybe that, without anything definitive. I also think that's more from her end. She's thinking about the Hermit. It's from her end, because it's one thing for, thank you, Spirit. Okay. It's one thing for Nikki Haley to have come out and endorsed Donald Trump to show party loyalty, right? Essentially, because we know she's going to be a factor in 2028 for the GOP, period. Okay. So that's one thing, but there's something that she wants, because she understands that technically, while, some of these other contenders, Doug Burgum, Tim Scott, some others, Vance, the rest, they have so much to gain by just being yes people to him. I think Nikki Haley is looking at it like, I am the one in the position of strength here. You need my votes. Remember all those votes that she got in the primaries long after she dropped out of the race. So I think she's playing hardball here, you all. I think Nikki Haley's playing hardball. We have the Eight of Pentacles and the Queen of Cups. That's her. She's playing hardball with him. And in order for him to even, and see, that's when his ego gets in can interrupt everything, because he's not going to like that. He does not like, he wants that yes person. And Nikki's not that yes person. You all, I have some doubts about whether this could work. The King of Wands, that's his ego. I just talked about that. King of Wands, that's him saying, listen, I am blah, blah, blah. And she's not going to go for that. She feels that he needs her more than she needs him. And we've got Judgment here. He'd have to really humble himself. He would have to really almost, talk about kissing a ring. Everybody's been, kissing Trump's ring. He'd have to go and kiss her ring to get her. She feels that strongly in her position and her positioning and what she could bring to him versus what the vice presidency could bring her, in terms of launching her into 2028. Spirit, bottom line, will Nikki Haley be the vice presidential pick? Will she agree to it, and will she be Trump's pick? The Wheel of Fortune. It's in play, you all. It's in play. She is in play. And there's something going on, because this would be, okay. He could care less about actually running the government and being president of the United States. What he wants to do is stay out of jail, right? And he wants power. But he understands he's getting older as well. He understands his timing would be very, very limited. And so it's all about promising her the positioning of the presidency over a period of time. The next cycle, the next election cycle. And the Chariot. Is the Chariot her passing on it and moving forward on her own agenda, or is the Chariot the two of them on a ticket together? Six of Cups. Because she was his ambassador, she could spin it that way. I've worked with him before. I can get him back on track, or I can work to get him back on track. Spirit, is Nikki Haley leaning towards this? Should this be offered to her? The King of Pentacles, that's somebody in his camp talking to her to try and persuade her how this could be beneficial for her long term. Going back to, you all, don't be surprised. Nothing surprises me at this point. Don't be surprised. It would be the shocker of all shockers, but it could also be the most galvanizing. If Nikki Haley could persuade middle of the road and other, more traditional Republicans of why she would choose to actually accept the VP position, if she could really do a job of selling that could be an issue. And so, to answer our question for today, Spirit is saying yes, that is at play. There is a question mark around whether or not she would accept, because the ball is really more in Haley's court. There's some sort of terms that would have to be met really in some sort of concrete manner for her to even agree to it. And strategically, she'd need a heck of a sales pitch to traditional Republicans about why she has chosen to do this. We will see. And finally, on the racial issue and Trump's appeal to black voters, if in fact he is going to make inroads, significant inroads with black voters based on this stereotype that he's putting forward, that now I can relate to you more. Having gone through my trials and tribulations, I understand your oppression. I understand what it feels like to be unfairly treated in the justice system. Blah, blah, blah. Lies, lies, lies. But are they going for it? Are these younger black voters going for it? 8 of Cups. They're disengaged from traditional politics for sure. 3 of Pentacles. Because he's appealing to them. Look at him sitting there on top of all that money. 3 of Pentacles. He's appealing to them. It's psychological warfare. He's appealing to them psychologically. It's not even about the quality of life or what he could give them. The high priestess, exactly. There's an air of it's not even a question of how many of them would actually turn out to vote for him. I don't see this as huge numbers of, young black urban people. That's who he's urban. We know that's a code word. But I don't know that they would actually turn out and go to the polls to vote for him. I think it's more of, Spirit is giving me, it's more of a chance to be heard, a chance to be seen, a chance to be known. The lovers, and he's a Gemini. Donald Trump is. That's what it is. It's a union of, it's a commonality of what he's saying. This notion of, yes, we are. We need to be accepted because we are just like you. We do understand what it feels like to be, unjustly persecuted by the legal system. We know, and policing, etc. And the Two of Swords. Yeah, this is a shell game, you all. This is not going to. Spirit is saying this is not going to turn out to be massive votes for Donald Trump. What this is doing is giving a lot of yakety yakety yak, more of an appearance of trying to connect with that larger group. But I don't think there will be those, we understand, particularly males. There will be those who buy into that toxic masculinity and and the sales pitch that he does. The Emperor, I always get the Emperor for him. When he was on stage with those two rappers, Chef G and Sleepy Hollow in the Bronx, and they had on, very popular in the culture. They had on their big diamond necklaces and the grills that they put in their teeth, the diamonds, and Trump was quoted, I think it was the Wall Street Journal or one of them, as telling them, oh, I love that and I've got to get a set for myself. And, just like he's telling the oil tycoons last week, look, you guys come up with $1 billion for me, you can write your ticket. Like, that is just what he does. But no, you all, Spirit is saying, this is not actually going to translate into actual votes at the polls. And I got a confirmation when I pull aces. That's a yes. That's Spirit saying yes. I'm on the right track with that. So okay, we can brush our shoulders off and dust that off and not buy into that this is not going to translate into actual votes for Donald Trump. A lot of people, and also for many people who are facing, who have felony records, we know many of the states, there's this whole issue of whether or not they are even allowed to vote in those states, right? So yes, we don't have to, that's not going to translate into huge numbers for Trump. We can cancel that out. This is all just his dog and pony show, and unfortunately a lot of people taking the opportunity to be seen with someone like Donald Trump just for the cachet, just for the, and possibly for being able to, if they are in trouble, from what I understand, those two rappers they have cases pending on weapons charges and gang related issues. So maybe they could feel like they can use that as some sort of cachet in their criminal, defenses, their trials, etc. But in terms of the 2024 election, the presidential election, it's not going to go far. All right, you all? All right. Take really good care. Glad to see you again. Glad to be back. Got some good stuff coming up on tap really soon. Going to be making a special announcement about offering emailed readings. I understand now a lot of people prefer that. We're all busy, so I'm going to offer just a quick 1 question or 2 question email reading. You email me, I'll do a reading for you, email it back to you, done, ba, ba, ba. So, gonna make that, offering as well. And I will talk to you all really soon. Stay safe out there, okay? Bye.